Sometimes, I just like to get anywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Longmeadow Days here, 2012. Station Manager Dave Bartlett, Longmeadow Community Television. I'm here with Laurie Hatch, who is a member of the Longmeadow Days committee. And I'm going to ask Laurie, so far, how's it going?
It's going great. Weather has been beautiful. The crowds are great. We've really been having a good time. Come on down and join us.
It's a beautiful day down here. Excellent. Now, I have a question for you.
Yes.
This supports what in the town of Longmeadow?
This is the main fundraiser for the Longmeadow Historical Society.
Outstanding. Yeah. So when you come down and attend the fair and purchase things here and participate, you're benefiting
Absolutely. Longmeadow Historical Society.
We
have our own booth and we have literature to pass out. We're also inviting anybody. It's a $15 a year membership fee to come. Feel free to come down and become a member. We're selling Longmeadowopoly games as well, which is the Monopoly game for the town of Longmeadow.
Great. Super. Well, we want to thank you for taking your time and to talk with us.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. And stay tuned. We'll have more from Longmeadow Days here live on the green here in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. I'm Dave Bartlett. See you later. Hi, Dave Bartlett here, LCTV Station Manager, live at Longmeadow Days 2012. It's now 3:15 on the first day of the fair, and we're here sitting with Steve Wojciechowski. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Wojciechowski, good enough.
Okay, close enough. And Steve is the gentleman, if you're a fan of old movies, on Channel 9, LCTV Channel 9 in Longmeadow, every day Steve programs old public domain motion pictures. Actually, they're not all old, but they're public domain motion pictures. And Steve is quite a movie buff. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that, Steve?
About being a movie buff, I've been watching films since I was very young. I remember we never had a movie theater in Longmeadow, but we did have Saturday afternoon movies during the winter time at the Longmeadow Community House that were shown in the basement. And sometimes during the week after, when I grew up to be a certain age, I would go downtown to see matinees or during vacation weeks at the regular theaters that were very large number back then. Now there's the Paramount's the only one standing, which doesn't show movies.
Now, when we first met, we talked about how we could get movies on LCTV, and you were the one with the knowledge about motion pictures that would not cost LCTV any money. That would be the genre of the public domain film. Explain to our viewers what a public domain movie is.
A public domain film is a film that was either not copyrighted originally, most of films were, then they had to be recopyrighted in 27 years. If they were not recopyrighted, then they became public domain. There are also films, this was up to about the early 70s, when every film, as soon as you had the copyright on it, would automatically be copyrighted, and those films are unavailable to us.
Cool. Now, when I first met you, I told you that you looked familiar, and I had seen you somewhere before. And you told me that you had been on the People's Court, the television program, the People's Court, out in Los Angeles. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. I used to go out there on numerous occasions, and I used to sit in the audience.
So you were on more than one episode of the People's Court?
But just sitting in the audience, except for the one in which Doug Llewellyn comes, says a few nice words about me, and does a brief interview in which he asks me which way I think the verdict will go.
On that particular case. Well, I think that's quite impressive. Anything else you'd like to share with our viewers, Steve?
Well, I'm working on a new program for LCTV, which will be called My Longmeadow. I'm 69. I've lived here all my life in the same house. And My Longmeadow is my share of Longmeadow history growing up right here in Longmeadow. And we're going to start with the green and go around to various places that have fit into my life and interview people who are still living that I used to go to school with or knew from the fact that they lived here in the city. In the town. We're only 15,000 people, but in some places that is a city.
Right. Cool. Very good. Well, you did a nice job, Steve. Thanks for talking with us today.
You're welcome, Dave, always.
Thank you. Are you going to go out and peruse the booths here at Longmeadow Days?
Yes, I've been coming every year since when it started.
1847.
No, Longmeadow Days. I forgot what year that started.
Oh. Well, we'll look that up and get back to the kind people. Steve, thank you very much.
I just saw my math teacher walk by from junior high school. That was Miss Erickson.
Yeah, you might want to run and catch her, tackle her, and talk to her for a while.
No. But maybe we're trying to get another teacher, George Elsner, who was my homeroom teacher. He was a social studies teacher in junior high school.
Wow.
I have a friend who now lives in Suffield, Connecticut, named Kirk Kaner. And Kirk and I both attended Longmeadow Junior High School together. And Kirk, memorized, and he still has them in his memory, the schedules for all the divisions while he was over here at Longmeadow Junior High School. And we shared other events together, like going to dancing school at the community house or watching the films also at the community house. So he's going to be a part of the interviews.
Excellent. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that, Steve. Unfortunately, we're out of time, and we have to go. But we want to thank you once again, Steve, for being our guest here at the 2012 edition of Longmeadow Days. And we'll see you soon. I'm Dave Bartlett, LCTV Station Manager.
And you're very welcome, Dave.
Hello and welcome to Longmeadow Days, a special Longmeadow Days edition of Put Up Your Dukes, which I know all of you are desperate to see a new episode of. And I am here talking with big-name politicians about politics. I'm now speaking with Andre Nuciforo, a former state senator and current registrar of deeds in Berkshire County. Am I right?
That's correct, Joe.
And he is running a race for Congress against Richard Neal, who's been there since I was his intern in 1989 in Washington, D.C. So now we're going to talk to Andre about the race and let him say whatever he really wants to say, and then we'll grill him hard. Okay, what do you got?
Well, as you know, Gerald, I was in the state senate for 10 years up in the Berkshires, and there has been a redrawing of the district lines. Mm-hmm. So the district now includes territory that is currently represented by John Olver, and it picked up Springfield and Longmeadow and East Longmeadow and other parts of western Massachusetts. So I'll be on the ballot in this newly drawn congressional district. I'm running in the Democratic primary. As you know, I've been a Democrat all my life. As my family members like to say, I'm from the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party.
Yes, indeed.
We are running as a very progressive candidate this year. We're a strong Democrat. I intend to stick up for Democratic principles when I get to Washington next year.
What are some examples of issues where the congressman presently is not as progressive as the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party?
You mean Congressman Olver or Congressman Neal?
Oh, good question. Well, since Olver is retiring, let's go with the guy who still wants the job.
Okay, right. Well, you know, this, as you probably know, this is a time where American families are really struggling. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons they've struggled is they've had such a difficult time making sure they're protected from some of the biggest banks and insurance companies on Wall Street. Wall Street deregulation has been occurring for many, many years in this country. Yep. I happen to think that we need to have laws in place and regulations in place to make sure that those banks, for example, are devoted to banking and lending, mm-hmm. and making sure that insurance companies are devoted to insuring, not to playing the financial markets. That's a very important distinction. As you know, many members of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans over the years, have been part and parcel of this deregulation which has happened in Wall Street over the years. Right. I think that's a mistake. It's something that I'll reverse when I'm in Washington.
Are you basically right with Elizabeth Warren in a new Glass-Steagall kind of approach?
I think that's the right approach, but I think that you've got to do even more than that, in fact. I think that we have to have, you may have seen United States Senator Sherrod Brown, who you may be aware of, mm-hmm. filed a bill recently that would have limited the size in terms of assets of banks and certain insurance companies. Not because we think that those things cannot be managed properly, but because we know that if they fail, it's a systemic risk and it creates risk to the taxpayers. So I think that Sherrod Brown is really barking up the right tree here. What he's saying is there should be a limit to the size of a particular institution. That's the sort of legislation I think we ought to have.
So I hear you saying that it's about the economy and it's about economic populism. Does that sound right?
It's certainly about the economy. I mean, populism, any man can define populism any way he wants to.
We college professors like to throw around words that people don't really understand.
Well, that's right. But the beauty of those words, of course, is that if you talk to 10 people will have a different idea.
Indeed.
Of what those
That's
names
why politicians
actually mean.
love those words, of course, because they, constituent can fill in the blanks any way they like.
Look, you think about what's happened to middle class and working families in this country, right? The demise of manufacturing in the last 20 years, and this didn't have to happen. Much of this was a result of the trade and labor and tax policies that have been adopted by both Democrats and Republicans in Washington for years. So I think we need a strong Democrat like myself, that's representing us in Washington and sticking up for middle class and working people. And when it comes to manufacturing, that's the same.
Now, how do you think your race will fit into the bigger picture of this election cycle with the presidential race and the Warren-Brown race, which is going to suck the oxygen out of the room? How do you expect to deal with that terrain?
Well, keep in mind, I'm running in a primary, so I'll be on the ballot in September.
And so will Warren.
Well,
that's what I mean. It's going to, by September, that's the kind of what I'm getting at. No one's going to even have their minds wrapped around these primaries, and you and Senator Elizabeth Warren have a primary, and so I'm wondering how you're going to deal with that.
Well, you have to remember that there are two thresholds that Marissa DeFranco needs to clear.
Right.
One is the signatures, which apparently she got. She's on with 11,000.
Right.
And the second is she needs no less than 15% at the state convention.
Right.
So she's cleared number one.
Right.
I'm not so sure she clears number two.
Yeah,
so,
I was with you on that until I started talking to folks that apparently she's more popular in the North Shore and places that I thought so it's really kind of a tough call now. But I did not expect her to maybe have enough support to make the 15%, and now it may be that she does, which would make this a little more complicated.
Well, Gerald, I think what we have to do is we've got to go with the facts that we know right now. Right? And what we know right now is that my name will be on the ballot. We know that Elizabeth Warren's name will be on the ballot. Whether Marissa makes the ballot or not remains to be seen. So I'm convinced that we will attract our 30,000 plus one votes in a Democratic primary in this new district, so that we'll be headed to Washington. Now, keep in mind, even though
you got a number. That's interesting.
Oh.
So is that a number based on a presidential year?
No. In fact, let me tell you where the number comes from.
All right.
There will be somewhere between 60 and 62,000 votes cast in the Democratic primary in this new congressional district, right? And that number comes from, it's a very small, very simple calculus.
Right.
You take a 5-year running average. So you look at the last 5 Democratic primaries, and you make minor adjustments based on what happened in local races and so forth, and you end up with a number. And in the 86 cities and towns in this district, there will be between 60 and 62,000 votes cast. Now think about that. That's a very small number.
Right.
By the way, 60% of this vote in this new district is currently represented by Congressman John Olver.
Very interesting.
So there are some numbers at play here that I think once voters start to wrap their minds around those numbers, they'll really understand why it's time for a change and why that change is going to happen.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, that's good. I like competitive primaries as a rule, so that's a good thing.
Let me share one story with you. And again, this is just the mechanics this is the blocking and tackling of politics. Go to Google and type in Congressman Tim Holden from Pennsylvania. As you may know, a 10-term congressman, with very conservative leanings, running in a newly drawn district that became much more progressive.
Right.
He was defeated. This is a 10-term member of Congress who was defeated by a first-time candidate, a young trial lawyer who spent about $300,000. That is the picture of the race that's going to happen here in Western Massachusetts. That's why we're going to have a new member representing us, and I will be that person in Washington.
Well, with the millions of people who watch this show, I think that you've just made great strides.
Yeah, well, I listen. I know that the Duquette audience is a very influential one, so I'm glad I can be a part of it.
This guy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
It's always a pleasure.
Andre Nuciforo, candidate for Congress, Democratic primary, right here in the now 1st congressional district. Thanks a lot.
You bet, Joe.
Hi, Dave Bartlett here once again live from the Town Green in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. We're here at Longmeadow Days 2012, and my special guests are the Shriners of Springfield, Massachusetts, and they're here at the fair at Longmeadow Days, and Peter is going to tell us why they're here and introduce his friends as well. Peter?
Thank you. My name is Pete Magnoli. I'm the chairman of the membership committee at Melha Shrine in Springfield. Don Facey, he's a member of the director's staff. Frank Watson, who's also a member of the director's staff. We came here today to help educate people into exactly what the Shriners are, who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do. We support the Shriners Hospital Network. There's 22 hospitals around the world. We treat both orthopedic, burns, cleft lip, and palate. And without the support of the Shriners, there would be no Shriners Hospital Network. And that's what we're all about.
And you treat your patients free of charge?
We treat our patients with, there's never a financial obligation. We do now accept third-party insurance if it's available. If it isn't, it has no effect whatsoever in the treatment that the child will get.
Great.
Children from birth to the age of 18 get treated at our facilities.
Outstanding. And the Shriners Hospital in Springfield is one of
22
throughout the country.
And
the world, right?
Around the world.
Well, we have 22 now, and we're also expanding into Mexico and Canada currently.
Hawaii.
Right.
What is that again?
A new one in Hawaii.
Oh, there's a new one in Hawaii. Wow.
So we have
Absolutely
the Burn
fabulous.
Center in Boston. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's right across from Boston General Hospital, and it's a state-of-the-art 9-story facility that treats burn victims.
All from the money that you folks raise at fairs like this.
We do our best to help support it, yes.
Outstanding. Anything else you'd like to tell us, gentlemen?
We'll have the hospital float in the parade tomorrow, and Don Facey is the one that designed it and built it 2 years ago.
Now, we're going to be covering that, so we'll have video of that as well.
Great.
Good. And we're quite proud of that, and it's brought a lot of good response from a lot of people who have been at the hospital to say, wow, there's the hospital I went to.
Great. Excellent.
We're looking for members. Most every philanthropic fraternal organization in the world is down on membership. We're no exception to that. We're looking for some good men to help join our cause. Please stop by the booth. We have all kinds of educational information available.
Great.
We need members. We're out here looking.
And past the fair, once this is over with tomorrow, Sunday, they can contact you at the hospital in Springfield?
At the hospital, at the Shrine Center, or bashrinernow.com.
That's what I need.
Excellent website, bashrinernow.com. Just follow your way through it, fill in the blanks, and somebody will be in touch with you.
Right. Well, thank you, Peter and gentlemen.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add, or are we?
Well, this is just a very warm day.
This is a very warm day, and at least the sun is shining.
Right.
We're in good shape.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day. Thank you all for watching, and we'll be back soon.
Hi, welcome to The Upside. I'm your host, Paul Santinello. We interrupt the shots of the people walking by, not saying anything, looking pathetic, and we can tell which ones are from East Longmeadow, though. Isn't that right, Michael?
Absolutely.
So I'm with my guest today is Michael Clark. He's a member of the school committee, and Michael and I were just talking about how great Longmeadow Days is, as long as you keep the people out from East Longmeadow, because that's where we send the trash after Longmeadow Days to reduce our recycling costs. Isn't that correct?
That's right.
See, Michael admitted to that's where he throws our trash in East Longmeadow.
I dropped mine in dumpsters over there.
So, but Michael, seriously, we were talking about the what a wonderful event Longmeadow Days is.
Yeah. We were. I mean, it is a fantastic event. It's a great opportunity to get people out enjoying Longmeadow, enjoying this beautiful weekend, and it really, brings us together as a community, and I think that's important.
Yeah, and we have a good number of people that are attending. Fortunately, we've had great weather this weekend, and I wasn't here yesterday because my daughter graduated from college, and quite frankly, I didn't have enough gas money to get back to Longmeadow for Longmeadow Day, so I was able to hitch a ride today after that tuition. But she graduated from Bryant University. Way to go, Nina! All right, four-year plan, thank God. But we have some nice events. We just had our memorial services. We had the kids from Glenbrook Middle School, and Michael lined up with them because he was about their height. But there's nothing wrong with that.
That was a low blow.
Well, actually not low enough, but that's okay. Can't get down that low. I'm sorry. In the audience with us today, we have Gerald Duqs, and fortunately, he's on the other side of the microphone, folks. And you can pan over there, Mike, but I told you, don't take the camera off of me, right?
All right. He's magnetic.
But one of the things I wanted to have Michael come on the show and talk about today is that, fortunately, when we just went through our budget, and on a great day like this, we don't want to talk about budgets or anything like that. But what's the good things that have happened in the schools this year? Some of the highlights for the kids in school system and so forth that you want to mention.
I think one of the biggest things, especially for morale, is just how quickly that building's going up. And I think every single day for for our kids in kindergarten all the way up through those that are going to be sophomores and juniors in that school, it's really just an impressive and exciting thing happening.
Yeah, and with the brickwork going up on the outside, you can start to see it take some shape other than just.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah,
it really is going to be beautiful. Sorry, Dave, I gotta lift my mic.
That's right. No one was listening to him anyways.
Yeah, nobody's listening to me. It really is going to be a beautiful building. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to get in on a tour recently.
Not recently, and that's what I missed the last one, and I want to go see it because I heard nothing but great things about what people saw.
Hallways. It's really coming along.
Yeah.
Really coming along. Staircases.
And amazing, by next February, our kids will be moving into there from the old high school, and then we're going to keep that open for Gerald so he can run around the hallways with sharp pencils and scissors in his hands without getting yelled at. But and after once they move in February, then the deconstruction of the old building takes place, and we start to see a parking lot and fields and things like that come back.
Yeah, we're going to be adding another practice field where the current student parking lot is, and where the current building is going to be a much larger horseshoe with nice tiered parking spaces, very nicely landscaped. It's really going to be a beautiful focal point for our community.
Yep, and without getting into too much in politics, there's an election coming up on June 12th.
Yeah.
And folks, we hope you go vote because we had about 344 people who voted in a special election just a week ago, which is less than 3% of our population, our voter population. That came out and voted, and that's not good. So June 12th, we have seats open for school committee, select board, planning board, and I think that's about it.
Moderator, too.
And moderator, that's right. I forgot about the moderator.
Oh, yeah.
Although we can't forget about the moderator. We need a moderator. Okay. So anything you want to talk about, anything that you want to talk about today?
I really don't know. This is your show.
It's my show,
it's
right.
Your show. You got the questions.
It's a show about nothing. That's what...
It's a show about the positive things we're doing in this district
How you doing, Rob?
and in this town.
Good. I'm just saying hi to people. I'm sorry, but
we gotta say hi to everybody.
The show's about all the good stuff that happens in Longmeadow, because on the select board and on the school committee, you deal with the day-to-day, not bad stuff, but stuff that isn't fun to tell. Yeah, it's not the fun. It's not the fun stuff you want to talk about. The good stuff is when something good happens in a community like Longmeadow Day. Right. So, it was about 3 years ago when I was chair of the board that we started. I started recognizing people in town for work that they did, and one was a hometown hero, and they got saluted by the American Red Cross, and I said, this person lives in our town, and we didn't even recognize them for their outstanding contributions to the world, not just Longmeadow. So we started doing some of that, and then when I went to LCTV and said, you mind if we do this as a show, the only thing they had on it was anything decent was put up your Duqs, and quite frankly, they needed a counterbalance to that because there's only so much Gerald Duquette you can have on television.
I agree with that. Having been on Put Up Your Dukes, I can agree with that wholeheartedly.
That's it. Well, were you on Put Up Your Dukes?
I was on Put Up Your Dukes. I was on Our Town with Arlene Miller. I've been a good friend to LCTV, I think.
Well, you see, you don't have a good agent because you should have done my show first. It has the highest ratings out of all of them.
I wasn't invited until today.
Our Town doesn't even make the bottom cut. I mean, it's not even on the list here, so I don't know what I don't know. But I'm sorry, Dave. No, they're all great shows on LCTV. You should all view in. Actually, the #1 drawn show in poker is Polka, which would embarrass all of us who have a show on LCTV.
It's true. It's on right before school committee meetings.
So I'm gonna. What I want to do is just. Michael, you grew up in town. You went to Longmeadow High School. What was your favorite thing when you were a kid here? I grew up in Springfield.
Yeah.
And other than throwing rocks at each other, we had some things that went on, like festivals and stuff. But when you grew up in Longmeadow and went through the public school system, what was some of the favorite things you did as a kid growing up?
I think coming to Longmeadow Days was there obviously in Longmeadow not much goes on through most of the year. We have a lot of sporting events. We have a lot of people that go away. We take a lot of vacations. This is the one event that as
Hi,
a kid
Mrs.
you look forward to.
It's Bobby Barquette's mom, but she doesn't have a hot dog or a hamburger.
She'll give you a coupon.
That's what happens with live TV. But
they pop in, they say hi, bugs fly in your eye,
So,
but Longmeadow Days, I think Longmeadow Days is certainly one of the best events that we have in this community.
Your first taste of freedom, right?
First taste of freedom, the first time your parents let you go someplace by yourself.
Yep, and they knew where you were.
They thought they did.
Yeah, they thought they did. That's right. And And now Michael's all grown up. He just graduated from college, University of Massachusetts. Congratulations,
Thank
by
you
the way.
very much.
That's
Congratulations
excellent.
to Nina.
Thank you. And that's a great thing. And now what are you going to do now that you're out of school?
Well, I'm going to pursue a master's.
Are you? Good for you.
Eventually, next year probably. And currently I'm working full time, and I'm serving on the school committee.
Excellent.
It's taking up a lot of my time.
You think?
A little bit.
Just a little bit?
But it's a lot. It's really enjoyable. You know, it's nice to see, you know, the product of your work actually, you know, come to fruition.
Yeah.
So it's really an enjoyable thing, and I'm very happy to be on there.
And Michael did a lot of work with me this year on the budget, and we were able to make sure that we had a nice, smooth transition, and it was fun to do that, and hopefully we won't be. We'll actually have more of that, I should say, going forward, and less antagonistic budget reviews as time goes on.
Well, and I think it's important that we all realize, and I think you and I certainly did this year, but it's important that we all realize that we really are in this together. The budget we bring to town meeting is, you know, the collective effort of our three boards, the finance committee included, and you know, it doesn't help the process to be at odds with each other. And I think that you and I certainly demonstrated this year that it's possible, and I completely have hope that in the future that's the way it goes.
Exactly, because you know what, the bottom line is if we're fighting over the budget, it's okay to fight over the budget.
Of course.
I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think there's anything wrong with not agreeing on every single little thing that goes on, because we both have our advocacies that we need to work for.
We have our priorities.
I think that the only people that end up losing in a budget nastiness is the public. So.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's why it was a good thing this year that we did what we did. And so I just want to thank you for that and your service on the board.
Well.
And that's our limited edition brief view of the upside. My next guest will be Gerald Duqs.
No, you're my guest.
No, you've been banned.
No.
You've been banned from the show. I am guest host and Put Up Your Dukes again.
Right, okay.
We did that once before. I'll be your guest.
Gerald gave me the show last night.
That's right.
You
I
did.
told him he could be the guest host anytime. Either of you can. Just put the banner up and go.
Oh, I have to put the banner up. See, that's the problem. Well, come on. Why don't you come on over? Let's have some fun.
All right, hold on.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for having me, Paul. And I will give this to a
Wait, we got extensive wardrobe change here. Where's the makeup?
Yeah.
He doesn't look good anyway.
Where's the green room?
Well, it's about time. You've been
Hold on one
avoiding me.
second. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Welcome to a new edition of Put Up Your Dukes with Gerald Duqs. Now, I want to ask my good friend Paul some questions that have been nagging everybody. Paul, you got a great show. I hear that your show is rated number 2. And the question is, how do you feel about being rated number 2 to my show, which hasn't aired in 6 months?
Well, Gerald, it's actually the lead-in is to put to the upside is Put Up Your Dukes, and since you haven't been on, the viewership's been going up.
Oh.
So I want to thank you for that being missing, and I was almost ready to get out the milk carton and see where you were.
Very good.
And I love the stickers on your hat.
Yeah,
I don't mind sharing space with that. Yep.
Okay, I'm showing my good side.
Yeah, that's right. The good side. I don't know about that. I said the viewership just fell. We're done. The LCTV just pulled away in the ambulance. We're done. So
let's talk about your political career, because you're on the ballot.
I'm on the ballot.
And I understand that Other has been mounting a real personal attack campaign.
Listen, I did get 3 write-ins in the last election in May.
Very good.
I ended up with 3 write-ins.
Did you recognize my handwriting?
No, I didn't
All right,
actually. It was because they couldn't contrast yours with mine.
Oh, very good.
So
how did they get Santinello from that X?
Like, I guess they figured that for that stupid, you can't write your name, you must be voting for Paul, huh?
Oh, very good.
They went through the mental challenge list, and there you go. You X is Santinello. So it was a pretty low turnout, and I was actually at a lacrosse game on Friday, and I said there's more people here than voted at the town election, and it was a little disappointing as an elected leader to see less than 3% of the population come out and vote for a seat that's so important, because it's the leadership of the town. You work with the town manager, and not that special elections are bad, but it goes down to the point of if it was just folded into June instead of 3%, maybe we would have got 4. And I'm hoping that June, because there really aren't any contested seats theoretically, although the select board race is contested because there's 3 names on the ballot for 2 spots still.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes,
I should know that.
because of election laws, Mark Borowski, who won the election last Tuesday,
right.
his name cannot come off the ballot.
Got it, yeah.
And so there will be 3 spots or 3 names for 2 places. So it's still a contested election, but the reality is there's no school committee seat that's being contested. There's no, the planning board is uncontested. The moderator is uncontested.
How about that recall effort to get Clark off the school committee? Where did that go?
Well, it's still in the works. I mean, that and the Scott Walker recall are, I think,
that was
Garner
all
and News.
together.
Yes, it's all wrapped up into one. He is the mass live rumor. He didn't start it. He is it. It's like an epidemic. It just keeps spreading. They're going to have to quarantine the town. We can't dump our trash in East Longmeadow anymore, Michael. And you heard Michael support that dumping of trash into East Longmeadow to reduce our recycling costs.
That's an outrage.
They get more money back on their recycling.
That's right. That's why we have a river. It goes down to Enfield, Michael. So you save money.
Now, it's. I'm sorry that you don't have a competitor in this race because you're a very a skilled politician, and I don't believe you've ever lost a race in this. Oh no, that's right. You did lose one race, but other than that, you've won every race in town.
Listen,
I got to tell you, he's so popular. Whoever beat him in that race must be like Mr. Longmeadow. I can't imagine.
And even the good people of Longmeadow get it wrong once, and I'm sure they regretted that vote the day after, It was like one of those hangovers. There's no pill to take for that for 3 years.
Buyer's remorse.
That's right.
That's what we call it.
You had to live with that for 3 long years, folks. Thank God he's gone, huh? There shouldn't be a memorial service. There should be a thanks service, right?
Absolutely.
He's not on the board anymore.
Absolutely. Now, hey.
No, some of my funnest, honest to goodness, most fun I ever had was serving on the school committee, sitting next to you.
That's true.
One of my favorite comments came from a friend of mine who said, if I have to go and get a dictionary one more time during a school committee meeting, I'm going to throw it at the TV.
Well, you're always trying to impress people with those big words, Paul. And I've always said it's really very. I wish I could come up with a big word right now.
That's it. See, he's cured, folks. He's cured. No cameras for 3 years. He's cured. He can't take it anymore.
Man, this is an outrage. Well, let's talk politics now. I have my Santinello sticker, but otherwise, of course, I'm a communist, and you're a real American. So why don't we discuss, the...
That's on the name under the ballot. Communist Real American.
Yes, absolutely. What's you're down there at the Republican booth, and they're talking politics. Are you confident
Let's back up just for a moment. I am a Republican. I'm at no Republican booth, though. Let's clear the air here.
Oh,
okay?
I'm sorry.
I
apologize.
I would have went to the Democrat Town Committee booth, but it's not there today.
Well, there's no such thing as a Democrat Town Committee. It's a Democratic Town Committee.
Okay. Yes. Yeah, except it's not there today.
Yeah, no. We're a big tent, but we're kind of lazy.
All right. So what did you want to talk about?
I just wanted to get your take on the big races here in Massachusetts.
I think what's really interesting is that the most important race, obviously, this year is going to be for president.
Don't be silly.
Well, it's for selectmen.
The
I
U.S.
understand
Senate, then selectmen. Selectmen's most important, then the U.S. Senate, then president.
Well, I meant after my race. I'm sorry.
After your race.
I thought that was a given.
Yeah, okay. That's true. Good point.
But you have the two races, I think, for both parties. Obviously, the presidential race and the U.S. Senate race, and that's when has Massachusetts politics ever taken a forefront position?
It's fabulous.
Right. I think it's fantastic.
I agree. It's a wonderful, wonderful gift to people who like to pretend they know what they're talking about politics.
That's right. That's why we're here.
Absolutely.
We're pretending to know what
It's great. It really is fantastic. Absolutely.
But I think that is one of the neatest things, that this state is going to be in focus in the upcoming months. And I think it's going to be a great race. I think Elizabeth Warren has learned a lot from Martha Coakley's campaign.
Is it true when you were introduced to Elizabeth, you said how?
I did.
Oh, I just checked.
Only 1/32 of the time, though. So the other side was high.
I see. Okay, got
it. See, people wonder why we don't do stuff. There's no talking. There's just laughing going on. That's why they just turn off the TV.
What are you going to do?
That.
They just turned down the sound because we're so good looking.
That's it. That's right. That's the first time I heard that. Probably the last time. But I think that's what's going to make. I think Scott Brown is a competitor who doesn't know how to quit. I think it's just in his blood, whether it's sports or politics, that he takes it seriously. He will go the last mile to run a race, and I think that Elizabeth Warren isn't going to shy away from it either. So I think you're going to have a great battle for the U.S. Senate race. I think it's going to be close. I don't know if any, when you see one poll versus the other, so who's at today versus tomorrow, it's a lot early for that. And I think it's going to be a close race no matter what. And I think the presidential race is a little bit different. I think it's interesting is I heard that Romney was not going to campaign in Massachusetts.
Right. Well, that's a good idea for him because Brown doesn't want to be anywhere near.
Well, regardless of whether Brown wants you to be, this is your technically your home state. No, you're technically your home state.
God.
I think it's
Gore lost his.
Well, Gore didn't win, so if Romney wins, he'll be the first one. Pardon?
I thought his home state was offshore.
Did we take questions from the audience at any point in time?
I don't remember that.
Okay, so I think you need to stop. Michael Clark, just sit down and be quiet. How many times has he heard that in school? Don't make me call your mother. I have your number.
That's great.
So I think that I think the Romney and Obama race is going to be absolutely fantastic. You're going to have two articulate guys. I think they're going to have some positions that are going to be very similar, and I think they're going to have some positions that are going to be diametrically opposed. And I want to know who's going to differentiate themselves from the other.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing. They're doing their best to do that. But I think that I'm one of those fundamentals guys. If the economy doesn't go any farther down, the president gets reelected, and if the economy tanks, he doesn't. It really doesn't matter how good the campaign goes. All Romney has to do is, take some of his $1 million and do something funky with it.
Don't you think that's more that's going to be an issue is where the economy is on election day more than anything? Yeah,
of course, that's the way it works. Yeah.
And here's the question I have for you. Reputedly, the president is going to spend $1 billion on this campaign, or maybe the surrogates.
$1 billion is what he said years ago. Before Citizens United. Well, I'll talk to you about that off camera.
Because someone's spending money and we're not making it. We're here at LCT. No offense, guys, but I mean, we're not getting paid here, Gerald.
Oh, you're not getting paid?
No.
Oh, Dave.
Right. Dave, where are you? Where's my damn contract? Son of a. Another cat out of the bag. There we go. He told me it was for the community. So did the judge. But
well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Community service.
I'm a Massachusetts Democrat. I'll teach you about kickbacks later.
Excellent. Thank you. I missed that part.
All right. Very good.
Elizabeth Warren doesn't know how to write her last name. She never get away with it at Longmeadow High School. Elizabeth, and that's it.
I don't know. Michael graduated.
Yeah, Michael made it.
Yeah, so there's she might have scored it by there.
Very good. Isn't there any local politics for us to talk about? How about the casinos?
I'm in favor of casinos, and I'll tell you what, I'm not in favor. I mean, I don't really gamble that much, but here's what the issue is with casinos.
Wait a minute, you're seen with me in public all the time. You gamble.
Yes, I do. Yes, I take my life into my own hands and see with you. The Republican Town Committee just put a wanted poster up right now. Have you seen this man? He's with Gerald Duqs. He's armed and extremely. They both have microphones in their hands.
That's right. It's extremely dangerous.
So you know what? I think the whole casino issue is whether you believe in casinos or not. It's the one industry in this state where we've had a line drawn and saying we won't allow it in. And what I don't understand about people that say, well, it ruins communities. Well, you know what? Go down to southern Connecticut. And when you see Electric Boat and what Electric Boat used to be, which was the submarine maker down in Groton, and when they started having their series of layoffs, the casinos, although they don't pay as high a wage as Electric Boat, saved southeastern Connecticut, literally saved the economy down there. There are people who are working today that never would have jobs down there or would have had to move out of the state. The issue shouldn't be, do you believe in casino gambling? The issue is, why aren't we welcoming an industry into town? I understand what people say.
Are you advocating a Longmeadow casino?
Right on the river, my friend.
Right on the river?
There's a riverboat that says the Gerald Duqs room, you know? You go in with your shirt, you come out with nothing. That's it. But it's the only industry where we're debating about whether we want to let them in. There's again, you want to go gamble.
In our town, we don't let it. I mean, remember, before I got here, I remember they didn't let the funeral home in, remember?
That's right. No,
we don't like business around here, do we?
No, not much, but now it's an office development.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Yeah,
a bunch of stiffs working.
Too bad.
But my issue is it's an industry which we say we don't want. And I don't get it. I mean, do we say that we don't want an insurance company to put up an office building?
Right.
And I understand they do different things, but they do, but they don't.
Well, I mean,
we have, and I understand, the
insurance companies are taking our shirts too. Let's face it.
But the issue should be what you should do is say, okay, you're going to come in. Here's the rules of what you come in. And then go at it. And if they fail in 10 years, then you know what? They fail. Just like any other business. We have solar companies that we've funded through the state, through taxes, and gave them loans, and some of them have failed. But you know what? You didn't say we didn't want them.
Yeah.
We welcomed them in and said, okay, you provide an alternative to energy. And whether, again, I don't care what your belief is in alternative energy sources. My point is that we had a group come in that says we think we can do this here. And they got some tax benefits from it, but they also employed people for that. And then we said, see you later. I mean, then they folded tent. But we didn't say, see you later, we don't want you. Because we don't believe in that type of energy. And that's what my point is that the casino issue is over what casinos do. Michael, get the heck out of the picture. But what we have is, what we have are legislators that are saying we don't want them in here. They're all around us. The lottery. They just made a face behind us, Joe. They're making fun of you, but we have a lottery that takes people's money. And not only do they take the money once a day, they'll take it over the course of time through what's that?
Keno.
Keno.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's okay to gamble.
Yeah.
As long as the state's doing it,
Yeah,
you know. And
yeah.
I think that's the waste of it all is we're wasting time debating whether we want casinos here as opposed to wasting time and debating.
Well, I mean,
here's
that's
what the
over,
rules
right?
are.
We're just debating on where it's going to go, aren't we?
I don't know.
Isn't that where we're at by now?
Well, I think that's supposedly where we're
Yeah.
at. I don't.
Where do you
believe
want to
it.
see it?
I want to see him say,
Other than
here's
the
where the
riverfront.
license. Well, riverfront. Listen, it's just you got to have a place when you dump your leaves. They got to go south, and the casino's got to be north of that. That's the only thing. That's my only stipulation. But my point is that they should be naming the casinos. If they're going to take years to go through the system, it's going to be over by then. And the casinos will have, they would have had their time. They're going up in Vermont, New Hampshire, New York, all over Rhode Island.
Yeah, we're surrounded, aren't we?
We're surrounded by casinos, and the only place, and again, maybe we have our heads up held high and say we don't have casinos in Massachusetts.
Right.
It's silly. They should award the sites for the casinos and say towns and cities and towns, go have your referendums, vote it in, and then we'll select the site from those. Put the plan together. We have some big name corporations. I mean, big name corporations coming in here, whether it's Wynn, Mirage, Hard Rock Cafe. That these are people that are all over the world who know how to run operations, who are willing to bring jobs into these cities, and we're saying no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think the legislature's already decided to have them. It's just a siting issue now.
Right, and it can't take 3 years. That's what they really have to get off their butts and go.
Excellent.
Where's he?
You bet.
All right, you
in fact,
push over.
I'll step out and let Paul introduce him because I have to go to Little League baseball pictures.
I don't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
He has an appointment, so
But just remember, this is Put Up Your Dukes with guest host Paul Santinello.
That's right. Thank you,
Thank
Gerald.
you.